Folks, we're back. This is Steve Sanson and Stephanie Phillips with another episode of Veterans in Politics. Today we're going to have Reuben Da Silva, Nevada State Assembly, District number 28. But before we get to Mr. Da Silva, Ms. Phillips.
I have plenty of rants, but first, as everybody knows, we're having this book signing event on February 22nd, 3:30 to 5 at the West Las Vegas Library, 951 Westlake Mead. This is Steve's new book, How to Navigate Nevada's Family Court System. You can get your copy on Amazon. It's $14.99, or you can get a copy at the event. So come on out. We'll look forward to seeing you. And I have a few rants, actually. All the big talk is that Trump paused federal funding. I have been seeing all these fear-mongering posts. Forgive me, they're from Democrats. You know I love you, Reuben.
Yeah, nonpartisan.
One in particular, Jackie Rosen, the other, the governor of Illinois. And they're saying that all these things, you're not going to get your payments and all this, but I just want to read this. In the freeze on benefits to Americans like SNAP or student loans, or is the freeze on benefits to Americans like SNAP or student loans? And the answer is no. Any program that provides direct benefits to Americans is explicitly excluded from this pause and exempted from this review process. In addition, Social Security, Medicare, already explicitly excluded in the guidance. Mandatory programs like Medicaid and SNAP will continue without pause. Funds for small businesses, farmers, Pell Grants, Head Start, rental assistance, and other similar programs will not be paused. So I just can't stand seeing this fear-mongering out there, and they're being very dramatic about it. So rest assured, those things will continue. The other thing, the government has found they actually stopped this, $50 million that was going to be sent to Gaza for condoms. Our tax dollars.
You're kidding me.
Yeah,
yes, they stopped that.
For condoms.
30 for condoms in Gaza, folks. That's what they were spending our money on. So thank you, President Trump, for stopping that. The other thing, $37 million was going to the WHO. They stopped that too because we all know he pulled out of that the first day in office. The other hot button was the birthright citizenship. And everybody is going crazy about that. But please know, this is for illegal immigrants that are here illegally, committing a crime. They are criminals because they enter our country illegally. If they have a baby, that's what he is ending. They do not get citizenship if these illegal immigrants have babies while they're here illegally because they're criminals. Our Constitution does not protect them.
Is that
I think that's the end of my rants. Okay.
Those have privilege.
I might have some more, but anyway. And we can talk about all those issues too, Reuben. Because I know you hit that on your social media.
Yeah.
The birthright thing. Okay.
But I have no rants.
Go ahead.
Not a one.
Well, I think I took care of it for you.
You did. You did. Mr. Da Silva, or should I say Assemblyman Da Silva?
Assemblyman.
Yes, Steve.
Tell us
Definitely
about
good
yourself, please.
Well, I've been on the show many times. My name is Reuben Da Silva. I represent Assembly District 28 in East Las Vegas and North Las Vegas. So roughly, if you want to think about the area around Freedom Park, all the way over to El Dorado High School, going up north to the gate of Nellis Air Force Base, and then down Las Vegas Boulevard to the Broadacre Swap Meet. That's Assembly District 28. It's the East Las Vegas area. It's parts of North Las Vegas, and it's the area I grew up in. And I'm very honored, now to be representing, my old neighborhood, and even my students. Many of my students at Rancho High School are constituents of mine, representing them now in the state legislature. It's one of the great honors of my life.
Thank you. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service as well.
That's right.
You want to share a little bit about how you became a Purple Heart veteran?
Yes. So I served in the Marine Corps. I have my fellow devil dog here next to me. And the interesting thing is I actually knew Steve's son, Steve Sanson Jr. We went to school together. I don't want to throw no dates around or whatever. I'll just
That's
leave it at
okay,
that.
everybody knows.
I'll leave it at that. But yeah, Steve's son and I, and if Steve Sanson Jr. you're out there, Steve Jr., what's up, man? It's always good to hopefully we should link up and grab a coffee, soon. But I graduated from Rancho High School, and then immediately after graduation, there was a major war going on.
Were you in the magnet program?
No, I wasn't in the magnet program. I was just in the regular neighborhood program, as we say, the neighborhood program. Yeah. And immediately after high school, I decided to enlist. I wanted to actually, give back as an immigrant. One of the things that my dad always said was, give back to this country. This country's given us and our family so much. Do something that's going to support this country and make us proud. So I wanted to serve. I actually was looking at the Navy first, and but that them dress blues, that's what got me. I'm not even gonna lie. That's the reason why I joined the Marine Corps was because of the dress blues. And I thought about that when I was in boot camp. I was like, man, this is crazy. What the hell am I doing here? Like this is wild. You know what it is. I mean, boot camp, Marine Corps boot camp is not no joke. Longest boot camp out there, very tough. The mental breakdown is. It's difficult to even describe it unless you've been through it.
That's true.
And that's also one of the things that that brings Devil Dogs together is that common experience of MCRD, whether it's a San Diego or Paris Island. There's only two of them, for our branch. So after graduating boot camp, I was assigned to my unit. I was a reservist, and I was with the 6th Motor T Battalion here, stationed over at Range Road. And went back to school. So I, was studying at the Community College of Southern Nevada. I did 1 semester at UNLV, and then I was called up for service, to serve in the Iraq War. This is OIF 6 now. So the 6th rotation of deployments going into the country. And we were deployed to the Sunni Triangle, not the Sunni Triangle area, but like close to it, but the Al Anbar province essentially. And I was serving in a place called Al Takada, which is a major air base where the aircraft would land, and my job as a motor T operator then was take those supplies out into our AO. And our AO was pretty crazy. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, places like Ramadi, Fallujah, were areas that we resupplied. And I was injured in the war on one of those supply missions. So we had a supply convoy, Marines, as well as KBR, which is one of the contractors that the U.S. government was working with. And it was a pretty large convoy, but then got broken down because we had to go to the city now instead of around the city to resupply the FOB that we were, supposed to, help out that night. So on the way back, after we, dropped our supply off, I was hit by a sniper. I was manning the turret gun. We switched. I drove to the FOB. On the way back, the driver the gunner went down and I went into the gun, and I was hit by a sniper. The round ripped my arm off almost. I mean, it was bad. I mean, when I remember looking down at it, it was just like my forearm, a big old just mass of meat and just bone and exposed and everything. And my bicep.
What was it?
7.62. I mean, it was either a
So M16.
it was either a AK-47
Okay.
or something that might have been a Dragunov. I think it was an AK-47 because I actually saw the person. I mean, and I don't think they were a trained individual because sniper, it's one shot, one kill.
It's a headshot.
You put a shot down, and whether you hit or miss, you duck back. This guy leaned out of the window and tried to finish me off. He hit me with the one arm. I mean, with the one shot, hit my arm.
Yeah.
And then he's screaming at me in Arabic, and I remember.
You didn't die.
Yeah, he screamed. Yeah, I put my 240 Golf on him, which is the bell-fed machine gun. But I saw then that he was, shooting at me from an apartment building. I just couldn't. It was a split-second decision. I couldn't open up with that kind of a weapon, onto a residential building. And the training is like, we have tracer rounds. You put rounds down. Everybody else is then supposed to concentrate fire. I mean, more than likely, we would have probably killed him.
Yeah.
But more than likely killed dozens of people, in a collateral. So I saw him. I took my M4 out instead. And I screamed back at him. I said, F you, mother effer, I'm from North Las Vegas. That's what I told him. I said. And I responded back. I put rounds on him. We exchanged rounds. And then he ducked back. And, then when I knew that the threat was, we had evaded it, he dropped out of the building. That's when I came back down, and they asking me, what the hell's going on up there? I said, I'm hit. They're like, what? And I had my guy, Garcia, Lance Corporal Garcia, and then Corporal Burrell with me. and they just couldn't believe it. And people said they just started freaking out. He's bleeding out. I mean, get a tourniquet. I remember grabbing a tourniquet off my flak, and then it fell into the into the truck, and you can't see anything because there's no lights in there, and we didn't have a readily accessible flashlight. And
So this happened at nighttime.
at nighttime, yeah, it was like 3 a.m. Then I took my scarf off, and we did our own tourniquet here, makeshift tourniquet, and we're trying to get a hold of the lieutenant to let him know what happened. That I'm hit, and but the issue back then with our comm was that we had these ECMs, they're called, that were supposed to stop electronic detonations around us, but they would also stop our radio communication. So I wasn't able to get word to the lieutenant that I'd been injured and I was bleeding out essentially in the cab. Finally, we crossed the river Euphrates on that same bridge where those contractors' bodies were hanged. If you remember that when the war first began, that's the bridge we'd used to access Fallujah. And then we were able to pull over, and they saw what happened. I was quickly medevaced. Then, sent to Germany for a while. Did about 4 or 5 days out there. Then I did my recovery at Balboa Navy Hospital in San Diego. I was there for 1 year. They rebuilt my arm essentially.
Yeah, that scar that you have on your arm
Yeah,
is,
I know you've
is
seen it.
something
It's
else.
crazy,
Yeah,
yeah.
you showed me.
And I got such respect and just love for those doctors. I mean, they were some of the best in our country. I remember seeing Dartmouth and Harvard and stuff on these doctors' offices. When I'd go do my consultations with them. Some of the best and brightest, serving in the U.S. Navy as medical professionals and as doctors. And I spent a year there and then came back. And
Wow.
life's been living since then.
And here you are in
And
the
here I am.
legislature.
You want to talk a little bit about how you got involved in politics, how that started for you?
Yeah, so I've always been, had an interest in politics. I was always told, that this is how you take part in a democracy. And as a family of immigrants, even, one of the great things about America, is the robust democracy that anybody can, participate. That you can go to these town halls and you can, in the state of Nevada especially, have relative access to state lawmakers or your city council people. It's a little bit different in other states, and I saw that while I was in California. I was trying to write to the congressman over there, and they just don't respond to you like the way they do here. So I knew that this is really a place that you should stay engaged in, at least. It's not, I don't know about running for office or anything like that, but stay engaged, because this is where the action is, and you should always be knowing what's coming down the gamut so you can stay informed and hopefully advocate for your interests and for the interests of your family, so on and so forth. But I decided to run for office, in 2000. I was caught up really in the 2016 presidential campaign. I was, I know we're talking about Republicans and Democrats. I was a Bernie Sanders sort of inspired individual.
We met at one of the Bernie Sanders.
Yeah, at the Bernie Sanders.
I was right next to him.
Yeah,
I could have just.
I remember you sitting. Yeah, you have a photo. I think in the Channel 8 or something.
Yeah, I was asking him about conscientious objectors. Because he was one.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember. I was like, look at Steve starting a mess. And so I was, very much a part of that sort of campaign. I think got a lot of young people out, in 2016. I know some have kind of dwindled off and or gone into different directions, but that's what really got me interested in electoral politics.
I'll tell people who you ran against.
Oh yeah, I was an independent that year, and I ran against Dina Titus. Yeah, in for Congress, I ran for the congressional seat. Yeah, and
you did pretty good too.
Took about for an independent.
Yeah,
for an independent, and then came back and ran again in 18. I lost 2 elections, and then came back in 22 and ran for an assembly seat. And it was a very competitive primary. 4 people involved in this race, and thankfully, the voters supported me, and I won that race. And in 24, when I ran for re-election, nobody ran against me. So that I think was a solid
kind
sort
of
of.
kept them out. Isn't that right, Michael McDonald?
Yeah. It's a very blue district, and again, Michael McDonald, if you're watching, Maybe next time, maybe you should send a Republican to run because it does help with fundraising. I'll say
They
that.
just want you to spend money.
yeah.
But
So-
in the first session that you were in,
Mhm.
what bills did you sponsor?
Yeah, so when it comes to veterans-related bills, I did have one bill that now
Just one bill.
has garnered one veteran-related bill. I had 6 bills altogether, but one veteran-related bill that did garner a free college education now for the children of combat wounded vets. One of my big thing is that as veterans, we do have a pretty robust benefit system, but as the numbers of veterans are dwindling in this country, the percentage vis-a-vis the population and the numbers in general, to be honest.
'Cause nobody wants to go in the military.
Yeah, and the other big thing is that we don't have drafts. I mean, you look at the 1950s in America. I think about 12% of the population, were vets. I mean, it's about 9% come post Vietnam. But then after the initiation of the all volunteer fighting force, the all volunteer military, that number's come down to about like 1% of the American population is in uniform, and so the numbers of veterans itself is dwindling. So my real focus has been what can we do for the family members of veterans, and I think that we should extend benefits to spouses, to children, in some cases even to parents. The bill that I have, it does that. So that bill did pass. So now the children of combat wounded vets, if they were deployed from a Nevada base or were part of a Nevada, National Guard unit, or have some kind of Nevada nexus, then they get a free college education.
What other bills did you have that didn't make it? That was the only one that passed through.
That one passed. I passed four bills.
Oh, did you?
So then I passed another bill that allowed students now, high school students, to have cultural expression. More freedom during graduation ceremony. So usually if a student wants to graduate and they want to wear a stole, they have a cultural organization they're part of, or a church or something like that, that gives them a graduation stole. They have to get permission from the principal, from the school district to wear that. So this bill says that if it expresses some sort of identity or some kind of cultural aspect or a religious sort of affiliation, that you don't have to get permission, that you can actually have that, and it's the school's sort of responsibility to actually say why you can't wear that.
Right.
So if you want to wear a flag or one, I remember there was a Baptist church in my district that does this graduation ceremony, and they give their graduates, a medallion to wear, and they
Like Flavor Flav?
It's a graduation medallion. So they can wear those now, and the school has to, really decide as to whether or not that's appropriate or not. Right. So the students have and this actually came from the students. They told me that they said, Mr. De Silva, we want some kind of freedom of expression.
You mentioned students. Did you tell people that you're also the school that you graduated?
Oh yeah.
You're also a high school teacher there.
Yeah, so I'm a teacher at Rancho High School. I've been doing this now for 12 years, and it's the school that I graduated from. Yeah,
he's got a lot to say.
Yeah.
he forgot.
Yeah, I'll take the whole 3 hours here.
3 hours.
Yeah. But I teach at Rancho High School.
You take Egla Flores' place.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I could take it.
We'll get to you, Ed, later on in the show.
So. And it's also one of the great honors of my life is teaching high school. I think it's one of the best. If they just paid a little bit better, there'd be no better career in America than teaching. I think teaching high school, especially.
So you got 2 bills. Well, you said 4, right?
Yeah. So the other bill that I got passed was now moving a workforce task force from the Lieutenant Governor's office to the Secretary of State's office, and this is because it was just more personnel in the Secretary of State's office. It's more full time.
You stole employees.
Didn't steal employees. No, they just had fewer. They wanted the LG wanted the the move to be made because I think they have 10 employees or 11. The Secretary of State.
For that?
Yeah, because the task force was created through legislation, so it takes legislation in to move the task force. And then the 4th bill, and this is one that I'm very proud of. I know that we were talking about undocumented peoples and all this earlier, but this bill actually, and I'm very proud of how this bill actually went through the actual Assembly and the Senate, and later on the governor signed this into law. It allows folks who are undocumented, who have some sort of recognition now from federal entities, whether they are TPS holders, DACA, U visas, to actually get in-state tuition if they want to matriculate into a degree program. So the way that it stands right now is that if you are a recipient of one of these programs, you move to Nevada, you have to pay full tuition. But anybody else, if they move in, you live here for 1 year, and then you get in-state tuition. So this is really more of an economic sort of argument, saying that these are like immigrants now who want to really work and get a degree. And we know that if you get a degree, especially in Nevada, your actual income levels do rise. I mean, there's a direct correlation in this state specifically.
But they're
Unless you're a
here.
vet, sorry.
But they're here legally.
No, they're undocumented, but they have some sort of like documentation, either a U visa, TPS. TPS is for refugees who have come in. They don't have full documents yet, but it is a some sort of recognition. So they have to be recognized in some way because of the federal laws. And we were able to get them in-state tuition. Every single Republican supported it, as well as the governor. Because I think it's the right thing to do. I mean, these are folks. The current governor, yeah, signed the bill into law.
You want to because I know there's a session coming up next month.
Yeah.
You want to explain exactly how a bill turns into law, so people can have an idea.
Yeah.
Right, starting from an idea.
Yeah, so you can just have an idea, and you can then lobby your legislator and ask them if they're willing to carry this bill. If the legislator says yes, then the assemblyman or the senator will send it over to what's called LCB, the Legislative Council Bureau, and give some a description of what you want to get done. So then they'll respond back with a draft of a bill, a BDR, and then you can make some adjustments there, and then you introduce the legislation. So the legislation is introduced, then the
committee.
No, it's introduced to the assembly or to the Senate, to the legislature. Then this is when the leadership really has a lot of say. So the leadership can then decide to have the bill sent to a committee. Or the leader can just stop right there. I mean, there's multiple places.
One person can do that.
Yeah. And this is very similar to...
you think that's right? One person could kill a bill?
I think for procedurally, I have a lot of issues with it.
Because you're Reuben
Yeah,
Da
that
Silva.
could happen.
Your bill is probably a great bill, but they just don't like Reuben Da Silva.
That could happen.
Or don't like your party.
Yeah, but more often than not, they send them to the chairperson. They assign the bill out. I don't think I've come across too many bills that have been like held back at that level. They do send the bills out. Now this is where the part, and this is my wearing my hat as a civics teacher, and a government teacher. This is where some of the political and gamesmanship can take place. Once the bill is then sent to a committee, the chair then has a lot of power. The chair is now the person who leads that committee, and the chair can decide whether the bill is heard or not.
One person.
That's again one person.
Do you think it should be the committee taking a vote?
I personally think that we should have more say in it. I've always advocated for that, but with the way that the rules are set up, and we have to
And how could you change those rules?
We as an assembly or a senate have to change those rules.
So change them.
Yeah, but there's if a bill comes in front of me that says, hey, we need to have some consensus on bill introductions at the committee level, I would be supportive of it.
Why don't you sponsor that bill?
You know what? Maybe next time around, I'll see.
We'll wait for
make
that
a difference. You're all about making a difference.
Yeah, but a bill like that, we'll see.
Ruffle some
We'll talk, man.
Come on, you're Marine guy.
But everybody likes you, Reuben. Everyone likes you.
Yeah.
You're the greatest politician. Everyone likes you. You can get stuff done.
One of the things with my bill making is, I do discuss things with the executive, whoever the governor is going to be, and this goes back to my real mentorship and with the teachers union, John Velladita. He says, hey, look, if you have a bill, as a lawmaker, what's your end goal? I'm like, to have a debate, discuss the topic. He said, no, your end goal, if you want to pass the bill, you got to get it signed by the governor. Talk to the executive. Whether it was, in the past, I did help with some bills that I was working with, not as a legislator, but with other legislators. With Steve Sisolak back then, I made sure that the legislator, it was actually Senator Flores, it was a Purple Heart bill as well, that he had the conversation with the governor at the time, Steve Sisolak, and the governor was like, hey, look, as long as it comes to me, I'll sign it. So that gives you a sort of like understanding that the governor is okay with this. Sometimes you have to pass bills and kind of force the governor's hand. I totally get that. And there's some things that we're going to be, a little bit more forceful of this session, especially with Democratic majorities, that we're hoping that the governor can move on, but other times you want to make sure that that the bill is going to pass and it's going to make a difference. So that's really been my approach,
So it passed committee. Now what?
So after committee, then the committee votes it out. We have hearings, one hearing, and then we have an opportunity to amend the bill, work a deal out, and once we get that final bill, we vote out of committee. It goes to the floor then. we have a floor vote as the assembly. For my house is it's the assembly, and then it goes to the Senate, and the whole process starts all over again.
Back into
another committee. That then there's many places now here. The thing is, the reason why I think we go with like one person having so much like power, it's because of the fact that we have a constrained amount of time. We have 120 days. We have to get this done. If you have too much debate, it could hamper the process even further.
So hold on. So you're saying now it just passed the assembly floor.
Yeah.
It has to go to
the Senate
committee.
Yeah, Senate.
And that one person,
and that person
say,
can
FU assembly
can then do that. Yeah.
One person.
Yeah, that house has a check.
Can say FU assembly.
Yeah.
Oh, what? 42 of you?
Yeah.
And kill the bill.
They could do that, and
you think that's
we
right?
could do the same stuff to their bills too. I mean, there is a certain again. We can have a long conversation about like political theory and the idea of checks and
I've
balances.
always wanted to change that, by the way.
But there is a lot of power in the hands of one or two people here and there.
It shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be.
Yeah, I think that the U.S. Congress has more latitude because they like even myself, like I can only introduce 10 bills. That's what it is. And this is again because you don't want to have an unlimited amount of bills. But then in a process, you never. Yeah,
how many bills actually go through 1,300? How many?
Yeah, we're probably expecting about probably like 2,000 bills. It's like right now I think there's like about 1,000 BDRs already. And we will have probably other bills that are going to be coming out in the next week or so. I mean, all legislators do have the ability to bring in one more bill. We do have caps, so I think that we as assembly members. We have 10 bills, and senators can bring in 20 bills because they represent twice the amount of people. But then, if you're a committee chair, or if you're in leadership, you can have like other bills too that you can bring in.
So you're out of the senatorial committee.
Yeah, once it's out of the Senate, then it goes to the governor. There's a thing called reconciliation.
Senate floor?
It goes to the Senate floor. Once it's out of the Senate committee, it goes to the Senate floor. And if the bills are different, then you have to
explain.
If the bills are different, you have to have a reconciliation between the two because the bill has to be the same bill that passes both houses.
Gotcha.
So there's a
so if they amend it, it goes back to the assembly then.
Yeah, no, it goes to this reconciliation process. So there's we meet. The speaker will send a few over. The Senate majority leader will send some legislators over, and then they just work the language. They have one document, and then it's okay on both sides. It goes to the governor then.
Gotcha. So what are the process the governor has?
Then the governor can either pass the bill or veto the bill. We don't have pocket vetoes in Nevada.
Let's say he doesn't do any of those. He just sat on it. No.
Then it would
becomes law.
It would become law it would be a time period, 30 days, and then it would become law that way as well. But our governor currently he hasn't been shy about the veto power.
Sit on anything.
Yeah, he
just vetoes them.
He'll either veto it or pass it. So we know pretty quickly then what he can do. We don't have line item vetoes either in Nevada. So the president can actually say I don't like this part of the bill and and actually cancel things out within the bill. But it's all or nothing essentially. In this
Phillips,
case.
you had a few questions about.
Well, I do, but I want you to talk about your veteran bill because that's
yeah.
a lot that's packed in there.
Yeah.
So, and I think that it's a great thing. So, explain to
Yeah.
everybody what that's about.
Yeah, so I've been told, what's a sophomore like you carrying like an omnibus with 5 parts and it's a complicated bill with multiple.
Tell me you're a high school teacher.
NRS, yeah, that's what I do. I mean, I'm a veteran, who's been connected to veterans issues since I became a Marine.
Combat veteran,
and
a Purple Heart veteran,
and a Purple Heart recipient. Yeah. So the bill has 5 parts to it. I think the easiest part that everybody agrees with is now extending free annual passes to the family members of Gold Star families. So the veterans' parents.
And tell people what Gold Star.
Gold Star is somebody who's been killed in combat. Right. So this is now the parents of the veteran, the spouse of the veteran, and the adult children. They all receive free annual passes to Nevada's state parks and recreation centers. Mm-hmm. And then the second and third part are kind of correlated. So Governor Sisolak enacted this thing called the Veterans Peer Mentor Program, and Governor Lombardo has actually also through executive order sustained that. So it's now a sort of a program where veterans get certain help and certain privileges too while they're working for the state government. If you apply, you'll have a certain sort of a certain head start, if you want to use that term, because you're a vet, and we trust veterans. Veterans are what we want in our in public service, working for the state government. And then you also have a peer mentorship program that's attached to it, where each division or agency, we don't really define how granular it gets. We'll have, if there's a veteran there, we can assign a more experienced person who's working in that level of the state government apparatus to serve as a mentor. Hopefully, I would like to also have that individual compensated. I mean, we're gonna have all those conversations, during this session. So that's part 2 and 3. Part 4 now is this is going to have a fiscal note to it. So this it becomes a challenge anytime you have to, if something's going to cost, a certain dollar amount. We have to, we have a balanced budget, constitutional mandate. So we have to make sure that we have money for this. And this is now spousal internment. So veterans, at the cemeteries can be interned for free. And I want to extend now that to the
what do you mean
spouses,
interned?
to be buried.
Ah.
Yeah, at the cemetery.
That was the program before.
That's
right?
always been the program, but I want to extend that benefit now to the spouses.
Oh, so the spouse could.
So the spouse can also be buried.
Buried next to the.
On top of the veteran. That's how we're looking at it.
Gotcha.
So I know there's certain.
So that means they got to dig deeper.
They got to dig, and most do dig deep. Yeah, I think the state stipulation is like 6 to 8 feet, but most do go deeper than that.
And what happened if the spouse dies before the vet?
That's interesting. That we haven't we have to discuss during this.
You want me to come up there and help you talk?
You can actually.
I used to sit on the Veteran Advisory Board under Governor Gibbons.
Yeah. We can have that. You can have that say. So
and Mark Menendo, remember him?
Yeah, I remember Mark. Yeah, I think me personally, I think it should be as broad as possible. Because the thing is, in the end, this supports families. Say my perspective, and as the bill carrier would be you're a veteran, your spouse passed away. She's entitled now to that burial, and then you also get that same spot.
Right.
So if you get married again to somebody else or whatever, I mean, that could be a question that comes up. I think that we've taken care of your wife currently.
Once you're gonna have one wife underneath you,
and another one on
top of you.
That could happen. I mean, who knows in the future? I mean, if you come back to this question, my thing is it's a service, an important service, and an important benefit, and we want to honor. Our vets, of course.
Right.
But we talked about this before the show started, is that, as the number of veterans, becomes smaller, we want to extend these benefits now to family members.
Gotcha.
The money's there. We have these special privileges put in place. And we all know that along with that veteran, those families are also struggling and suffering and sacrificing as well. Those kids are sacrificing when their mom and dad has to go on a deployment for 6 months, for 8 months, for 15 months. Those, spouses, running households, when their veteran is deployed or God forbid, is injured in a war or there's some kind of other instance that takes place where now they're disabled. Now they have to deal with that. I mean, family members serve right alongside the veteran when it comes to the actual interests of this country. So I've been very big on, expanding privileges and benefits to family members.
Was that the only bill that you have?
Yeah, that one. But we haven't even talked about the part that's probably the heaviest lift, and that's the now regulating the claims industry. So
that's right.
That's the big part. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So the bill right now, as it stands, is saying that you cannot charge veterans if you're going to represent them or work on claims. Right. This is again something that is outlined in federal legislation, but it's not enforced. And we've been getting some direction now from, the AG's office, from the different VSOs, the Veteran Service Organizations, the VFW, DAV, and even the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, that we need to clean this up. And there are individuals out there. Some are bad actors. Some are, are more clean cut, that are charging veterans for services. And so we just want to create some kind of
when did they go to the VSO on the hospital? Hospital has a VSO.
VSO, yeah, and it's free.
Why don't they just go there and go past all these people that's trying to take their money?
Yeah, my thing is that hopefully we can come to some kind of an agreement as to what this is going to look like in Nevada. Each state is pretty much doing its own thing. So that's the sort of conversation I'm hoping to have. I think it's a very fruitful one. I think it's one that's a long time coming. I personally, am a big supporter of the VSOs. I'm taking a lot of have taken a lot of direction and guidance from them. I mean, they know the affairs of veterans. I mean, they've been doing this for 120 years. I mean, I think even before World War One, I think it was the Spanish-American War, were the
But
first
the people that's
VSOs.
actually doing it, it's not 120 years old.
No. I think they're saying that they can expedite the process. They can, work, and fully focus on getting a claims through. And again, this is a new sort of arena to me. I've always gone through the VSOs or the congressional offices too. They also do a good job.
But there's a lot of veterans that are very they don't want to file too many claims because they figure that if they're let's say they're 90% disabled and they file more claims, they probably try to take away their current disability. Some veterans don't want to file too many claims.
Yeah. That's something.
Why is that?
That's how the system works. I mean, you got to ask the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs. That's a federal thing. I personally think that if you've been injured in the war, you have a significant disability, you should get a solid compensation for that. That's just what it is. I mean, if you're going out there and really to risk your life for the nation, if you've been banged up or hurt in the line of duty, then you should get a good compensation. One day where you can at least take care of your family.
So was that the only bills that you?
That's my veterans related bill first. Yeah, it's
Well,
five bills in one. That's five bills in
just
one.
Yeah.
Oh, that's 5 bills.
It's 5 bills in one.
So
I have
So you got 5 more bills then, right?
8 other bills.
8 other bills.
Yeah, for this
how
session.
many bills do you get to take?
I get 10 this session. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
but if that's 5 bills, you got
so
5 more, right?
That's 5. That's supposed to be 5 bills, but it's an omnibus, so it's pretty much a whole bunch of bills
5 in
put
one.
into one. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have one left.
No, I have 8. I have one left. Yeah. That I'm going to be working with the Divine Nine. This is the historically African American fraternities and sororities, and to come up with something. There's a bunch of things that we're looking at. We'll come with something. I'm a member of one, Phi Beta Sigma. Myself, and so we're working with those organizations to come up with something. We still have about 2 weeks or so.
Okay.
And
there was a bill that you and I spoke about.
Mhm.
Is a bill that because they changed the just a little history. They changed the criteria to be a justice of the peace ever since Joe Bonaventure.
Yeah.
Right, you have to have
You have
5 years
5 years
as practicing
and
law.
yeah.
Before it was 0, right?
Mm-hmm. And you have to have a law degree. Before, I
Right.
think you didn't even have to have a law degree in some of those jurisdictions.
Well, the rurals.
Yeah, okay.
And then with the sheriff's race, any Yahoo could run for sheriff.
Mhm.
And now you have to be post-certified, right? 5 years, I think it is, or
Mhm.
something like that. You have to be an actual law enforcement
yeah.
officer before you can run for sheriff.
Mhm.
So the bill that I was talking to you about is to be a regent of higher education. You should have a minimum of a bachelor's degree,
yeah,
right?
at least have some college education.
Right,
Yeah.
right. If you're going to tell people they need to go to college, you yourself should
Mhm.
have been in college, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm
is
saying-
that
I'll
one
be
going
honest with you.
forward?
I have actually commented on this publicly. I think that we need to have some sort of requirements.
Okay,
for
I don't like talk. I mean, we're going to do
I'm
something.
supporting it. The bill.
Who's carrying that bill?
That bill, I don't know who's carrying, but I know for CCSD, the trustees, we're also looking at creating like a minimum qualification.
I need to know if somebody's going to carry the bill.
Let me look into it. I know we've had
I thought you said you had somebody carrying that bill already.
I'm not carrying that bill.
No, not you. You said somebody else.
I know that it was coming up in during the session, but I haven't seen all the bills yet, to be honest with you. That's another part of the process is that legislators will put bills out there. It'll say something very basic. It'll say
That's why I backed off of it.
And
because
enact,
I thought we had it all covered.
Yeah. I wasn't covering that one. I was working more with.
I think you said a state senator was carrying that bill. No, not true.
Yeah, let me find out about that. But I'm pretty sure we're going to be addressing minimum qualifications.
Maybe
for
Ed will do
regions.
that one.
Yeah.
Kind of makeup, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Makeup.
But I know for a fact that it is being brought up for CCSD trustees and school board trustees. So it would be
In
obvious
what
sense that,
language?
saying that you need to have some kind of minimal qualifications in order to serve on a school board.
Oh, so what? High school diploma, right? For a school board.
Yeah, hopefully.
Right.
I think they're going to be a little bit even more. I think from what I'm hearing, they want like graduate degrees and things like that.
Like an AA?
No, like a master's degree.
To serve
That's
in
what
the
I've
school
heard.
board?
Yeah, I haven't seen the
What
language.
about as regent?
Regent, I personally think you should at least have some college education. I know we've had people who serve on the Regent board.
Well, if you're going to require the school board to have
a
to have
master's.
a master's in reach higher education, you should
Yeah,
be
yeah,
like
yeah.
a professor.
Yeah. I think the masters might be a little bit too
Or at least a
stringent.
book author.
Yeah, I think you should have it like you have to have the same sort of credential as most of those individuals who are serving. I think you also should look at some college, because the idea, especially with this whole high school to college, high school to trade school, high school to some kind of like secondary education system. You need to have something there
Well, let's do first things first. Let's make sure those
experience
college
in.
people have, when they say they higher education, make sure they actually have higher education.
And they're not dropouts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it was up to me personally, and I was very open to this too, you got to remove the legislature out of the Board of Regents out of the Constitution. I supported the ballot question to do that. It didn't go through, but I think that that they can serve as an oversight body.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that having the Board of Regents in the Constitution is problematic and does like inhibit a lot of things that we as a legislature oftentimes want to promote when it comes to our higher education system. So it really is a very Byzantine, if you want to use that term, Byzantine sort of environment. When we look at education, both K through 12 and higher ed in the state.
I ran your voting record from the last
Okay,
go
okay.
round. And you pretty much, you vote down party lines and you voted pretty much yes on everything. This one that you voted no on,
Mm-hmm.
maybe you can explain this to the people. This one was SB 246,
Mm-hmm.
establishes the North Las Vegas Work Development Program.
Mm-hmm.
And you voted no. And most,
Was that no one that?
this one was a no.
The North Las Vegas Work Development Program.
Mhm. So I just wondered why,
He was part of the night
what that
before.
was right
Let me see that
This
again
one.
real quick.
Right there.
He was partying the night before. He kind of like this stuff.
These are the this was the highlight.
Yeah,
So,
I think this is the 3 vote no vote. This wasn't one of the ones that I took a vote on. I think this is inaccurate from Vote Smart. The 3 that I voted no on were the MedMal bill. I voted no on that one.
Yep, that's on
I
here
voted
too.
no on the. There was just to explain. So there was a conversation about the fiscal committee for Metro, who's going to have like seating on that commission. And I voted no. I voted with Metro and the city of Las Vegas against the county. On that, most of my colleagues voted for that bill, voted yes. And then those are the 2. Yeah, the
That was
third.
it.
That I think that's inaccurate. I didn't. I voted
Okay,
yes
just
on
so
it.
you know, that's out there.
Yeah. I got to go back.
So-
Yeah, Vote Smart. I mean,
They're not smart?
No,
They're
they're
not
good.
that
They're good.
smart?
But every now and then there's like
Sorry, Vote Smart.
there's like a little inaccuracy that comes up. And I'll double check too. Myself. Because I've taken hundreds of votes. But I usually vote along with along party lines,
Right.
except if there's a serious issue with the bill. Oh, also the third vote. I'm sorry. This is a really important one too. Really important. I voted against the daily room cleaning.
Against the who?
The what?
Against that bill, the daily room cleaning bill.
Daily room.
Yeah.
cleaning?
So the
For hotels.
the hotels wanted to go have a policy in place where you can opt into daily room cleaning, and then the actual procedurally would be that you check in every 3rd day or some day like that. They would come in and clean your room unless
hell
you
no.
ask for it.
They got to come every day.
Yeah, so I said, and my thing was, this was something that the Culinary Union strongly was supportive of, and I said, this is keeping, especially my constituents, working, and plus it's a solid safety implementation where you have eyes on a room on a daily basis in a place like Las Vegas with thousands of hotel rooms.
Some people are nasty in an hour.
You have
Yeah.
to request it though nowadays.
Now you have to
It seems-
request it.
Yeah, you request
so that's the
it.
law.
It's not
Yeah,
automatic.
that's because the gaming industry wanted that. Because it does save them money. So my thing was like, if I got to vote with these the hospitality workers on this, the folks, the guest room attendants and the folks who are like working and getting good solid hours, and also having eyes on hotel rooms. I mean, there's a lot of crazy stuff that goes on, in those hotel rooms, and I think it's good for as a sort of like sanitary practice, but also as a security practice to have somebody checking in on those rooms on a daily basis, even if
Somebody
it's just
could be
clean.
dead in those rooms.
Yeah, it's important,
And you could bring them back.
Yeah, right then and there, he's CPR, So, that's the 3rd bill that I voted no on. Those are the 3.
That's a good bill.
Yeah.
Can you tell people what there was a bill in here that changed automatic voter registration? So it was the DMV before they registered everybody, but now that there was a bill that expanded some requirements. Now they have to prove that they are a citizen, whereas before they didn't. Was that one of the changes?
That's the
and there's many more offices now, where not just the DMV, but other offices that can register, do that automatic registering.
Yeah, the thing is with the DMV is the preferred place to go to, because we actually verify status and like your ID identification and everything through the DMV. So that's why when you register to vote, it asks for a driver's license number, and then they ask that question that do you want to get registered to vote, and you automatically registered, and that information that you put in there becomes your address, becomes your actual district representation, all that. It's done then and there. And I supported that. I think that's a good thing. And, I think the more people who are actually registered to vote, the better it is, instead of having to and trust me, as a high school history teacher and government teacher, it is hard to get folks registered. You have to find folks, but they want to get registered. It's just that, it takes an extra step, to get somebody to go and fill out a piece of paper. And as easy and mundane as it sounds, it's a difficult task,
But where's the checks and balance to make sure that these people are all citizens of the United States, that they are able to vote? I know a lot of people talk about that there's no checks or any. So can you reassure people?
I can reassure you that everybody who registers to vote and is then receives a voter card, they are lawful voters. They're citizens, and they also meet the age requirements and all that. And the reason for this is when you register to vote, you have to put down either your social security number or your driver's license number. Your full driver's license number, last for your social security number. That's verified then. The Secretary of State does a terrific job of this, Francisco Aguilar, and even Robert Sagaski. Those are the two that I've been able to I know, personally. And they go through leaps and bounds to make sure that is an individual who's qualified to vote.
Do you support voter ID?
No, I don't support voter ID.
Why not?
Yeah.
You're in the military.
Yeah,
you got to show ID for everything.
Yeah, I know.
You got to show ID to drink.
Yeah.
You got to show ID to get a pack of smokes.
Yeah.
You got to show ID to drive a car. You got to show ID to get insurance.
But this is
you got to show
How
ID
do
to
you
get on a
justify
plane.
that?
This is
I've never ever heard
a plane, but to vote, anybody.
I've never heard a good argument on
Anybody
this
can-
ever.
no,
My thing is, and this has happened, in the past with me. When I've brought people to the polls, and then I got you there, and then here you go. So
I brought people to the airport. If they don't,
I
have
know,
ID,
but
they can't get on
but there's
planes.
an actual security purpose for that. This is, if you are,
That's security too.
yeah, we have mechanisms to check this. I mean, you can put a provisional ballot, if you're not registered. You can register right then and there today in Nevada at the polling site itself. There's a provisional ballot. Once they verify you, then your ballot is cast and counted. My thing is vote, and then let the government apparatus, the folks who are charged with making sure that vote count is a valid vote or not, let them do the job.
What if they miss it? What happened if some Yahoo
There's been
voted
very
a couple
few.
times
There's been very
and
few
beat you out
opportunities
and
of
beat
that.
you
Yeah,
out?
I know,
right?
I get.
Robert Twix's
Look at
election.
Twix.
It was a close
the
election.
few-
I know.
Yeah.
I know elections are going to be close, but I think when it comes to the veracity of the voters, I mean, I think we do a damn good job in this country.
What happened if there were some illegals that came and voted and just take you out and voted for somebody else? How would you feel? How would you feel?
There's no
though?
evidence of that.
I'm just saying.
even
I'm just
being
saying.
capable.
Let's say hypothetically.
I think that
How would you feel?
I would go. If there's a close vote, I support automatic triggering of recounts for close elections. If there's like a half
6
a percent or something like that, between a candidate, I think that we should trigger automatic recounts. Right now, in Robert Twix's
Them
race,
an arm and a
it was
leg.
like $700,000 to
That's
have
ridiculous.
Get a bill for that.
I think we do have a bill. I from what I recall, I think Assemblywoman, I think it's Assembly member, Gonzalez. She said that she was going to bring a bill up that's going to look at bringing about an automatic triggering. I know that other states have this. Like it's at a certain percentage, 1%, 1/4%, 0.5%. These really close races where we need a bit more eyes on the actual votes that came in. And I'd be supportive of that. If that bill came in front of me, I would support voting that bill.
So,
I would vote for that bill. I should say.
You are an assemblyman from District 28.
Yeah.
And the voters of District 28 voted for you, right?
Yeah.
Could you explain the boundary lines again? So
the boundary lines. I mean, it's a pretty straightforward district. I mean,
like
it's not like there's side steps and stair steps and all that. So it's Pecos in the west to Bonanza straight across as my southern boundary to Sloan. Sloan goes up, and then you have Las Vegas Boulevard as the northern boundary. And Las Vegas Boulevard is at a diagonal. It slants, and then it stair steps a little bit when it gets out to Sunrise Mountain High School. But generally speaking, it's Las Vegas Boulevard, Pecos, Bonanza, and Sloan.
So you didn't run this time because you had no opponent, so you didn't knock on any
I still
doors.
campaigned. Yeah, I
You
still
to get that
hosted
one
events.
vote.
My thing is like even if even if nobody's running against you, you got to get out there and engage with with your constituents.
So what legislative priorities is specific to District 28? The people that voted.
Yeah. So if you look at the sort of like the makeup of the district, it's overwhelmingly Latino. It's one of it's probably the number one or number two Latino district in the entire state.
They want voter ID, I heard. So you probably want to get that one going on.
I don't know. I got to go back. From what I've heard from my constituents when I knock on the doors, they're either or on.
I knocked on the doors. They said, "Hey, we want some voter ID."
Yeah, but once I think you explain from our perspective as to why it can inhibit voting, especially those last minute voters, I think it makes sense to them.
Imagine you jump in the car at the last minute and the popo pulled you over and said, "Where's your driver's license?" What you gonna tell them?
You can't drive without a license. That's the law. See? But this is a right that's extended to every single American citizen, is the right to vote. And having barriers to that right is my issue. So let them, if somebody goes to the poll, they don't have an ID, just get registered, drop your provisional ballot in, and let it be up to the state to then verify that vote.
I have never had a problem going to the polls and they ask me for my ID. Never, ever had a problem.
Yeah.
So why is people having problems?
Everybody takes their ID everywhere they go.
You got to go in your car. You're using
But
ID.
every now and then you would have. I had 3 students of mine, again, first-time voters, went to the polls, and they didn't have the IDs with them. But thankfully, they weren't even registered. To be honest with you, I thought they handled all this. They just didn't know. They thought you go there and just vote. Like they had some kind of made system. And then I said, no, you guys, you actually have to get registered, and then you have to vote. So they were able to get registered. They asked for the ID because if you register to vote, they want to get the driver's license number and all that. Didn't have that, but they put their last 4, and they all placed provisional ballots. It's those sort of situations, and they happen more often than what people really think. It's not every single voter, but I want to say a good amount. It's usually younger folks. It's usually folks who don't understand how elections operate. We know there's a lot of data that minorities are more disproportionately affected by lack of voter education. So we want to make sure that those constituencies also are able to at least drop a ballot. Let the Secretary of State do their job then, and cancel a vote out, and if you do actually vote, and if you are undocumented, or if you have voted twice, this is a felony. Straight up, it's a felony to do that. There's severe consequences if somebody is able to who votes twice or votes if they're not a U.S. citizen.
So you're an educator.
Yeah.
So what steps have been taken in District 28 to improve education?
So in my district, last session, I'll be honest, I was very, very heartened, tremendously actually overjoyed to see that, that education was like the number one priority of that session. This was unanimous. The Senate Majority Leader, Nicole Canizaro, the Speaker, Steve Yeager, and the Governor, Joe Lombardo, were completely aligned on this. And we even got that $2 billion infusion. It all went to education. I myself got a 20% raise.
Where's the marijuana money now?
We talked about this last time. But
that's another podcast.
That's going now to. They fixed that in the beginning when it first came out. That money was going to the general fund. Now it's actually
the rainy day fund, and I haven't seen it rain here for a minute.
So now it's going towards the state school fund. So we got a raise. We also actually helped teachers who are teaching in Title I schools. All the schools in I think every single one in my district is a Title I school. Teachers who teach there, in this much more difficult sort of environment, get an extra, allotment of money. Teachers who are working with special needs students, they're also now receiving, an extra stipend on top of their base pay. So that's all benefiting East Las Vegas and North Las Vegas, because this is an area now that has continual problems with keeping teachers in the classroom.
About keeping them safe.
Safety as well. We passed significant legislation last session. Again, the governor and the Democratic legislature passed laws that brought back expulsions, that brought real teethed consequences for students who assault teachers, who distribute drugs, who bring weapons to school. I supported that legislation.
Why did they get rid of the boot camp that was taking care of the juveniles? Remember there was a boot camp program that juveniles used to go to, squared them away. It's like a scared straight type of program. And then they got rid of it.
So what we've done now is that we've brought these, we call it Star On at Rancho. A lot of schools call it a Star On program. Again, you do have behavioral schools, still, which is like it's a tough environment, very boot camp like environment, very punitive in focus.
Those schools?
So those are our behavioral schools.
What are the names? Stay away from them. What are the names?
I don't have the names off the top of my head. I just know that there's certain behavioral schools. There's, I think, 3 or 4 of them here in Las Vegas. Okay. We just say you go to behavioral school. I don't know what school they go to, but we have a program for that. Okay. But we've created a secondary intervention sort of place now. So schools now have a program where a kid who would traditionally be sent out could actually stay in that program. It's separate from the rest of the student body. And I'm actually one of those teachers who goes in there during my 4th period. I've sold my prep to do this, to work with those kids. And I'm their history teacher essentially, and I'm making sure that they're doing the work in their other classes. They got that in
Rancho?
They have it at Rancho, yeah. So these are for like kids who we can work with. They've done something egregious, but we want to restore them and get them to a place where they can be second chance sort of thing. And it's significant too. I mean, we're talking about students who are separated from the rest of the student body for 20 days, for a month.
How do you do that?
6 weeks.
We just keep them in a classroom?
Keep them in a separate classroom. We have other adults there full time, there with them. And then you have teachers who rotate, who are subject matter experts who work with the kids.
So they don't leave?
They don't leave until their sentences.
I mean, they don't go from classroom to classroom. My English
no, they don't. No, because they've done something. Because they've done something.
They stay in one.
They stay in one place the whole time, and it's been working. We've been able to bring students in and and then reincorporate them. We've had a couple who come back. Today, actually, it's funny you mentioned that. I did a whole lesson on recidivism. Like, what's that term mean? Because we had a young lady who came back. I was like, what are you doing back over here? Mm-hmm. The whole point of this program is to get you out. She was there for 20 days. Right. And she's back in the program. So I did a whole lesson, as their civics government teacher and social studies teacher on what the term recidivism means. Mm-hmm. So they all know that in that program today, what that term is and why it's a bad thing. We don't want you coming back. Right. We want to reincorporate you into society. We never want to see you back in this place.
What about infrastructure and public safety for 28?
For this, so we did get some funding for like cameras. We did get some. There's some capital projects.
When you say cameras, what do you mean?
For the security cameras in place. I have one right outside of my classroom now, which I feel very safe for. It's like say this.
You talking about cameras in schools?
In schools, yeah.
What about around in your assembly district on the streets?
I'm supportive of some security measures, not education related, but I'm bringing up a bill now. I mean, it's going to be controversial. It's on behalf of LVMPD.
This is another. You didn't talk
another
about
one.
That bill.
Yeah, I didn't talk
about that.
He's got 8 other ones.
8 other ones. Yeah.
I thought
we only have so much time.
So this bill's also omnibus. It's 2 bills in one. I'm trying to do it.
Went through the veterans one. That one was packed.
One bill packed with like 5. A lot of stuff. Yeah, packed with 5. So I have a bill for Metro, and it's a bit controversial because it's gonna start a debate. One is that for negligent discharge of firearms. Like if you go out there, celebratory gunfire. If you're just opening up,
not if you're trying to holster it and it went off.
And that's not negligent. That's just, I think, an accident. We're talking about people who are deliberately going out, shooting in the air, shooting in their backyard. Okay. We're trying to raise lower the felony threshold on it and make it a felony. For people, up to a felony. The judge can have discretion, of course. Right. So I'm bringing that bill up. I'm hoping that we negotiate some kind of some kind of a procedure or process here. I said it couldn't be a mandatory minimum. Like it cannot just automatically be a felony. It has to be something where the judge can have some latitude of discretion. And the other one, this is the one that's even more, I think, controversial. And I don't want to have a debate as Nevadans on this. And this is now lowering the felony threshold on minors who carry firearms. We've had a lot of issues with shootings, a lot of issues with teen on teen, even killings. So right now, I think as the law stands, it's a gross misdemeanor. If you're carrying a firearm illegally, and you can't be carrying a firearm. Period. If you're 16 or 17-year-old, even a concealed weapons permit and all that, you got to be 21 to do that. So it's going to lower now the felony threshold and make it a felony for teenagers, 16 and 17-year-olds who are carrying guns. So again, there's going to be a lot of I think a good conversation about do these kids know better? Can we? I'm hoping that we can marry this law with some kind of restorative process as well. Like if you do, you do get a gun charge. How are we helping these kids to avoid that from ever happening again?
Okay.
And if you keep doing it over and over again, then there's obviously an issue, with that individual.
What about kids that hunt? They can have rifles.
This is, I think, pertaining to the city limits and concealed pistols and things like that. That's the issue that we're having.
So you're going to specify.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is again, Metro and the DA are leading. This bill. They brought it to me. I had reservations about bringing a bill like that because I'm like, this could end up like getting young people caught up. But I'm hoping that we have an educational piece that goes with this. That we have restorative measures in place, and I have received a lot of support because when I polled my district and talked to people. About this. I have like a quick polls that I can run. They're unscientific, but they do give me a sort of gist of like what people are thinking. I got a lot of support on that, on both those measures. So again, I'm not about criminalizing people, but on the same token, like I think having some sort of teethed consequences, for issues that are, endangering people. Especially, we know that on the east side of North Town, we're having a lot of like youth on youth violence and. We want to minimize that and put some consequences in for folks who are, packing, essentially.
Are there armed security guards at every single school?
Yeah, every single school has not just armed security guards. We have school police, CCSD police.
They're there.
They're there. Yeah.
Every single day.
Yeah, every single day.
Every hour.
That's one of the things I remember. I was in New Haven. I was at Yale at the time, and when we had the shooting out there in Connecticut, the Sandy Hook shooting. And one of the things that they were talking about was bringing in officers into school. I'm like, this is what we do in Clark County. This has always been a thing here. We have school police, and we have extremely quick responses too. Say there's a incident, and I was looking like I had it. Now we have this CTG system, I think it's called. We can immediately shut the school, and every single teacher can do it. Every single adult on campus who's working there. That pretty much means is a school shooter, and the response is immediate. We have armed personnel with, AR-15s at the schools. I've even seen them in the cars there. They have, semi-automatic weapons, rifles. There at Rancho High School, we have about 2 to 3 at any given time. And if there's students there, there'll be school police there, even for after-school activities. When you have a football game or something, then you'll have more officers sent to those centers, and you'll have Metro or North Las Vegas also present. I think we do a good job when it comes to like fortifying our schools against school shooters. And, God forbid, we ever have something that ever happen here. I think that even if it did happen, we have a very quick sort of response time. This matters, especially in a situation where you've seen the stories. They're going around classroom to classroom. There's nobody there to respond, fire onto the student or whoever that perpetrator is. Many times it is a fellow student.
So I take it you're a campus carrier person. You believe in campus?
No, I don't think teachers should have.
Why not?
Yeah,
you could do it.
There's so much that could happen. I feel confident with the weapon.
What happened if you have another 5 teachers that feel confident?
I don't know about teachers having weapons. There's so much that can go wrong having a firearm in the classroom.
But there's so much that could go right. Like the perp is dead.
Yeah, but
100 kids got saved.
What happens more in a classroom is say a student putting their arms on a teacher or having an altercation. Pistol falls out. Now you have a situation where you have a gun in the mix. That happens way more.
Maybe they could put it in a safe in the classroom and fingerprint. Boop.
I don't know. I just don't know about having. I just don't know about having.
Students wouldn't even know which teachers are carrying.
Yeah, but I would be this having a fire, and I know that some teachers are probably not going to have it in the safe. They'll probably have it on them. I mean, just bringing a gun into the classroom from a person who's not law enforcement.
But we never tried that before. But we tried zero.
I think
zero weapons, right? 0 weapons. No teachers are armed. And you know what happens if I know that there's nobody armed? Like those signs that says no guns allowed. I'm like, oh my God, I could just shoot everybody up in here.
I know. I get it. But
no retaliation.
The thing is, like, our schools are not like soft, fully, like totally soft targets. Like this, like the situation was in Connecticut because they didn't have, I remember I went to a town hall at a high school there, Hill High School, something down in New Haven, where they were actually debating this, whether or not they should bring police officers into the schools. And I remember speaking up at an event. I said, let me tell you something. I come from a school district where we had school police officers. There's an armed personnel there who's a law enforcement officer, a certified cop there who's trained. And during my day, we had a guy named Officer Hightower who's a Marine sniper in Vietnam, when I was in high school. 6'8", big dude. Had like
sniper.
He had like 18 kills. I didn't know about this until after I graduated. He killed 18 people as a sniper.
He's a big sniper.
Yeah, he was an Officer Hightower, and so the guy was obviously trained, been in combat, knows what's up. and he was there all the time. This is like just as the school shooting era was beginning, but I think we have the right approach. There's a lot of folks who are calling for the removal of school police in our schools here in the state.
Wow.
I don't support that. I think we need to
gosh.
have them there. They
Who
do a
would
good
do
job.
that?
And if there's anybody out there who actually does community policing the right way, this idea of building relationships with the people that you're policing, it's our school police.
I think the people that want school police removed, they want to go in there and mess with the school.
Now, I don't know about that. They're coming from a different. I know those folks, but they're coming from a perspective that
What perspective?
you don't want to make.
Teachers don't have guns. Nobody has guns, and anybody that
Yeah,
walk in there with a gun will
yeah,
wipe
we
everybody
need-
out.
You either want your kids safe or you don't.
Yeah,
So
I think we need
I don't
school. I think
understand
we need the CCSD PD does a heck of a job. I mean, every now and then you'll have an incident. A student gets roughed up, like the one
Like putting the dog in the vehicle and dog.
Yeah,
passes.
that happened too. That was unfortunate. Yeah, you have an incident of maybe over roughing a kid or something like that. Abuse of like physical power. It happens every now and then. But the removing police from our schools is I don't think is the right approach. I actually feel safe knowing that I have a school police officer there. Who could, if say God forbid again, there is a school shooting, it is an active shooter on campus, that they can respond like that.
Any of your bills that got passed, was there any type of legal retaliation, like lawsuits, ACLU or NAACP or
the bills I passed, no, not last
Veterans
session,
in
no.
Politics or any of those organizations?
The bills, no. There maybe I'm thinking some of it because I've taken on. Those were I think easier bills that I took on last. There was one with the immigration bill that I passed, giving undocumented the actual ability to get in-state tuition. That there was a chance that there may be some kind of like say like a Trump presidency, could go after something like that, saying that we're giving folks who are now not full citizens or legally recognized peoples a benefit that's supposed to be for all Americans, but we added an extra step there so we could keep an eye. So they have to take a high school equivalent test.
But you said keyword right there.
There's
Americans.
but they're undocumented. Many of them are have been here for 20 years. I think I see them as Americans. They are part of this country. It's just that they don't have the documentation. So the extra step we put in
Talking
there.
about the ones that were born here. Is that
No, we're talking about undocumented immigrants who now get in-state tuition because of the bill that I passed. They could have been potentially and can still be some federal action against it. But we discussed this with the AG. We talked to our federal folks as well, and said that we have to, in order to keep with the IRA Act of 86, which I'm sorry 96, you cannot give that same benefit. You have to add an extra step for those folks who are undocumented, and then it's okay.
But look at
So we made the law says you have to take a high school equivalency test, and if you pass the test, then you get in-state tuition.
Look at our military. You could go into the military as a naturalized citizen. You have to be a citizen. I mean, you have to be legally here in the United States. But you could go in as a naturalized citizen.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to re-up, you have to be an American citizen.
You
knew that, right?
That I didn't know. I thought you could.
I know that because it happened to me. Because I came I'm from Jamaica, right?
But the military does a pretty good job of naturalizing folks. I had an issue. This is this. I was an undocumented person in this country for a long time till I was about 13, 14 years old, and then that caused an issue when I tried to get my citizenship. I got my green card. And then I was a green card holder when I signed up. When I was actually wounded in the war, I was a green card holder. So that's also a reminder. There's a lot of immigrants, who are not citizens, who are out there, bleeding and dying for the country.
Well, I always say that if you served in the military, you should have your citizenship.
There was an issue because I was undocumented and I went through the process, so they could never do it. So when I was in Balboa Hospital, when they finally medevaced me to San Diego, and I saw a caseworker, I'm in that hospital bed. There's another guy next to me too. He was getting his leg removed, and they came and asked. She asked me, so what can we do for you now? We have you stabilized. Is there any way we can help you? I said two things. One, I want to see my mom and dad. Can you bring them here? Can we work on getting them here? And then secondly, I want to get my U.S. citizenship. And she said, "You're not a citizen." I told her the story, and she pulled some strings, and within literally months, I was a citizen.
I had to go through the whole program.
Yeah.
I had to take a test. test. There
I
was
had
a
to take
test.
I had to take a test too. I did have to do that. The
Like
test
American history test.
Yeah.
Full background check.
Yeah.
I mean, extensive what the military does.
Yeah.
They do a
They probably-
way more.
They probably did all that, but they were able to just get the background. I think I kept failing the background test because of the fact that I was undocumented. So my family overstayed a visa. I was brought here as a kid, overstayed our visa, and we were undocumented then after that, and living in the United States, with no papers. So that I think caused the hiccup when they looked at that. But it's less of a hiccup because I came into the we're getting into the weed of like immigration, like politics. So that's actually is a little bit of a better situation to be in than somebody who has no documentation, who comes in with no papers, was not like vetted for coming to the country. And I think roughly about like a good like 30-40% of the undocumented peoples in the U.S. They are overstay visas, So that caused the hiccup. But then whoever this caseworker was did a fabulous job. I remember getting the word saying that not only are we going to give you citizenship, but we want you to be the keynote speaker at the first ever all-military swearing-in ceremony at Nellis Air Force Base.
Oh wow!
So yeah, I was a keynote speaker for that, and there was another guy who in my unit, two actually, who also weren't citizens. No, three. And I told the caseworker, look, there's three other folks too who are green card holders. Can we actually expedite their citizenship as well? And they also got their citizenship. One guy was from Korea. The two other guys were from Mexico. And yeah, we all swore in together.
Cool.
So I know it's a big tense issue right now, but I think that this nation owes a lot to immigrants, and immigrants sustain this country and always have. My sort of like philosophy on this is that there's an Atlantic writer named Howard Feynman who says that anytime the foreign-born population in the U.S. comes to about like 15%, you'll always see like backlash. And this has happened several times in American history. You see it in the 1850s with the Know Nothings. They said, "I know nothing but the love of my country," and all these Germans and these Irish people who are coming here, they're spoiling our country, and we need to send them back, and we need to like do something about them. So that happened in the 1850s. This is strong reaction, aggressive sort of anti-immigrant reaction. Even presidential candidates were getting involved with this.
The Irish came and the Italians came.
Yeah, then the Italians. Then you have another one in the 1920s. Again, the foreign-born population hits about 15%. Then we passed some stringent laws, in the 1920s, the 1924 Immigration Act, that put the quota system in place. Interestingly enough, they actually they put quotas in place for everybody, but then later on they went back and said Mexican immigrants have to have a carve out. They have to have an exception because some of these corporations, Goodyear is the greatest example of this. The tire company based out of Arizona said that we need them to work as a relative cheaper form of labor. So you have to have a carve out. The Mexican migrants can come over with pretty much easy access across the border because we need them, to work. And so the population dwindled. And in 1965, you have the Immigration Act of 1965 that was put in place by Lyndon Johnson. And then the real significant one was Reagan's Immigration Reform Act, 1986, that really opened up, the border. I mean, that's what I do. I teach it, But that's when you see the real spike again. Now you're seeing that level, it's hitting that number about roughly one out of 6 Americans, 1 out of 7 Americans is foreign born. So you start seeing, I think, that reaction. And again, this is, if you look at it as the cycles of American history, this is nothing new. It's just something
Well, there's 4 of us in this room, and half of us are foreign born.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
But we have not seen what has happened the last 4 years with the Biden administration across the border with the millions that have come. I mean, they're just pouring in.
Yeah, I mean, but
that is unprecedented.
Yeah, historically, we've had like pretty, not as many restraints in the American borders. You look at the 1830s, 40s, 50s. It was pretty much as you show up. Let's give you a medical examination. Let's make sure there's some general kind of like understanding that this person is not somebody who's going to be a threat to the United States. I mean, and that's it.
This was different. This was different. I was there. I saw it. I talked to these people. I interviewed these people.
Yeah.
The UN is flying these people into our country or into Mexico. They are coming into our country. They are funding this. So what has happened, and the reason for the backlash, I think, now is because the last 4 years, our country has been completely at risk, totally open, and
I do agree with that.
They didn't care. They did not care
that the Biden administration should have made immigration more of a priority. I think there was ample opportunity to solve this problem like years ago. With Obama, with Bush, there was opportunities with both those presidents. He had the whole compassionate conservatism approach that he brought to giving some amnesty to dreamers and some folks who the parents of dreamers, and then having some stronger security measures put at the border. But that compromise just never went through. And I think there's blame on both sides. I don't think it's a football too. I know immigration is one of those things that motivates people. So as long as the immigration issue isn't solved, I think there are folks who will come out to the polls, because on my side they're like, you be careful because they're going to deport you and they're going to do all this and that, and so we need you to come out and vote. And on the other side they're like, you got these folks invading our country, and they're taking our benefits, and we need to do something about it. So I think that there's been it's been a football, So we'll see, where this leads to. I'm personally, very critical of like just mass deportations. I think criminals, obvious, that is something that I would have, would be supportive of.
Aren't they all criminals if
I don't
they
think
came
they're all
in
criminals.
illegally?
I don't think they're all criminals. And
If they came in illegally, they're a criminal.
Then I would be under
Right?
the definition. I'd
Right?
be somebody who would
Well,
be
They
defined as
broke
a criminal.
federal law.
I came here
If
on
they
visas,
came
so-
in
Yeah.
illegally,
I came in as
so they're a criminal. If they entered the country illegally, it's a federal crime. You're illegal. You gotta go.
Yeah, but many of
That's-
them, like I said, came in through a legal method, just overstayed their
He's
visa.
talking about a double felony.
It's
I
like
came in illegal.
I
and
don't think these. There's so much of a human aspect to, and then also there's been a sort of incentive too. You look at all these farm workers and stuff, farm owners, in Imperial Valley in Ohio, and now even in the South, in Mississippi, they're like, we want this labor here. I mean, it sustains our economy, keeps our prices low. And it's like it's been worked out to a certain way where we do got to work, I think, on in the end some kind of security measure at the border, but we also got to do something about like bringing the folks who are here out of the shadows and giving them some kind of status.
Our prices aren't low.
What's that?
Our prices
That's
are not.
that's
They've not been for a
yeah,
while.
but that's for like other, I think, more like recent causes. I mean, with the pandemic and maybe the supply chain issues, the inflation. That's more of a recent sort of issue. But like long standing though, I mean, if you look at like the grand scope of American history, the immigrants have come in and done work that has like benefited the economy, work that Americans won't do. Nowadays, like longer standing Americans, and that's what I think is one of the great sort of aspects of our country. It allows folks this opportunity where we benefit, they benefit, and we grow as a nation.
Yeah,
Well, Ms. Phillips, do you have any
I
other
do.
question?
I do. I've been waiting to the very end to ask.
Okay.
And Tanya Brown, this is for you. She is a member of one of our pages, and she wanted me to ask you. She had a brother that was incarcerated for 21 years, wrongfully convicted. She said, please ask him if he would support a petition for factual innocence posthumous bill. So she sent me, it's a recommendation for the Joint Interim Standing Committee on the Judiciary. And the Supreme Court weighed in and they said that they need a bill. Nevada would be the first to allow the families of those who have passed away the opportunity to exonerate their loved one posthumously.
Yeah.
In 2011, the Nevada Supreme Court case, they quote, "It is for the legislature to create a cause of action or remedy and provide for an appeal," unquote, because no statute or court rule provides for an appeal. In this matter, we lack jurisdiction. So would you take your last bill, and I know I'm putting you on the spot, and do this? Because in her case, and this is on our talk show page. You can read her as one under one of the posts that I made for our flyer. That you were coming on the show. Her brother spent over 21 years incarcerated for a crime he did not commit in 1988. In 2009, prior to his death, the Honorable District Court Judge Brent Adams issued the Washoe County District Attorney to turn over the entire file And she said her brother's case, when the file was turned over, all the evidence was found, exculpatory evidence was found, including handwritten notes of the prosecuting attorney showing he had a 1989 court order to turn over the evidence. 2 years after my brother's death, I found the real perpetrator of the crime and now have a declaration that will support her brother's exoneration. And she said that they had withheld the detective, and this is something that we've heard on other cases. The DA and the detective withheld evidence. This was another one of those cases. And I asked her who that was. And she said it is ADA Ronald Rachow and Detective Sherman Box, Boxx. I don't know if they're the same on those other cases that we were looking at, but she would really like to have somebody sponsor that bill so that the families of the deceased, when they are innocent and they want to be exonerated.
Yeah.
So is that something that...
Yeah, this is. I'll bring it up with the group that I'm working with.
Okay.
I know there's several things that they're looking at, and it's going to really be whatever they want to do. I'm one of those folks who believes that bills should come, from the community, and this is a great example of that. But especially organizations now, and this is again one of my perspectives on it. Organizations that can do the work, because a lot of folks expect sometimes you carry a bill and it's you who are running around talking about. No, you have to have a lobbying effort. And I find that oftentimes that organizations,
I've done that many times.
they got the manpower and the resources for this. So that's why I usually go through community organizations. If they bring a bill to me, and then I'll assess the idea. But this is something I can take to them and see if this is something that could be done. But if
the
a
name
bill like that comes
Tanya
to me,
Brown, if you hear her name, Tanya, you hear what Reuben is saying, and maybe she can get in touch with you directly. But yeah, there's a lot to that.
If you send some details about what the bill would espouse, what are some of the things you're looking to do in a written format that I can then pass on to folks so they can also look at it. Please do that, Tanya. I would greatly appreciate it. And I think it's a great idea. Did you say something about it being already in the the interim judiciary committee this session?
No, that was from 2011,
Okay,
and the Supreme Court issued that they don't have jurisdiction. The legislature needs to make a law, needs to have a bill.
Okay.
So that's why, and all these years later, she's looking to that. So her brother.
Let me see. Maybe we can add it into language that's already open. I mean, the thing is we all have just one last bill, but the thing is, if the NRS is open, there's a similar bill. You can add, if the other lawmaker is okay with it, whoever's introducing that bill, then you can actually add this language in, and have a broader sort of bill.
Shouldn't there be?
But I would support that though.
Yeah,
I think I think you should be able to post on.
Absolutely, right.
To piggyback on that, if we find out that the prosecutor and the detectives in the case hid evidence or made up evidence to put an innocent person behind bars, shouldn't they be automatically, removed from whatever status that they are? Even if they're an elected official, they should be automatically removed from their status. If they're getting their PERS, it should be automatically stopped and go through the criminal branch of our government. Because come on, man, you know how it was in combat, right?
Yeah.
Could you imagine? We had Sergeant Kelly Quinn here talking about high desert maximum security prison, about 30 gangs that's there, and every day was a day of survival because it's you're trying to survive in the prison system. Could you imagine you going through it for 21 years, 15 years, 10 years for a crime you did not do?
Yeah.
And the people that put you there, knowing damn well that you're innocent,
yeah, that's a travesty.
Is having the comfort of life like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they be
I think there should be some repercussions
penalized?
for that. Yeah, there should be repercussions for that for sure.
Is there a bill you could
They should
put
go to
together?
jail for a really long time.
Is there a bill?
They should lose their retirement. All of that.
Yeah, that would be really the courts who decide to, to really adjudicate that, based upon. I can't comment too much about the case. I don't know the fine details. But yeah, there should be some sort of repercussions for folks who knowingly, put an innocent person in jail. It's a travesty. I mean, it goes against every
Is
single.
there a bill out there that covers that?
I haven't heard of any. The person you need to bring on the show one day is Brittany Miller. She's the judiciary expert. She's the chairwoman of judiciary on the assembly side, and this is like her baby. My thing is education, veterans affairs, intergovernmental relationships.
Are you passing the buck right now?
I'm not passing. I just said I just haven't heard about a bill.
Great politician.
I haven't heard of a bill. I haven't heard of a bill. I haven't. Yeah. The thing is, we have 1,000 bills that are going to be introduced, and we're not going to have language on this for weeks. And a lot of lawmakers got kind of like hold on to their ideas. They don't want to let the public know, or more specifically, the opposition know exactly what's in there, because it gives them less time then to organize against the effort that you're making. So it's a lot of gamesmanship. If you have Nevada again is a limited sort of state. We have 120 days. We have a certain amount of bills that we can introduce. We're talking about 10, for the Assembly and 20 for the Senate. And folks, get those bills through by having conversations early with their lawmakers. I personally, again, everybody is different, but I usually work with organizations that I know can do the work. That I'm not out there by myself with an idea or a bill. I know that I'm bringing something that's supported by a union or a trade association or some kind of a chamber of commerce or the VFW. Groups like that I know can actually have the firepower to go in there, bring people, advocate for a bill. They're all on one page. They're organized, and they can get legislation across in a very short period of time. So that's kind of my approach. Because it's very difficult for one single lawmaker to have an idea and then have to run around and try to do it all on their own. I've seen people do that, and it's very difficult. And most of those bills, I think, fail. You got to have community support behind a bill, and you got to be organized. And there's some people out there who are better organized than others. I'll just be real with you. Even if they're like folks who don't get good things done for our state,
Philip, do you have anything else?
Just one announcement. Don't forget CCRP meeting, guys. We need to be involved. We need to vote. It's February 4th, right? Tuesday, 5:30 at Stoney's. Please show up. There is a vote for a new secretary and treasurer. We need people who are qualified to take care of that, and there will be some good candidates there. Show up. Please get involved and please vote.
Assemblyman, did we miss anything that you want to
talk about the amount of the bills?
Cover?
The 7 other bills I have.
Be here all night.
I know. Yeah, we'll do like a part 2. Maybe we can do like a short Zoom or something.
You're going in session next month.
We can do maybe a pre-recorded Zoom or something.
Oh, no. Edgar Flores offered that up, and we do live.
We need to talk about that.
We do live and in person.
Okay. But the thing is, like, say there's like an opportunity to at least talk about it or inform the public, your audience, about a bill. I could do like maybe an interview or something. You can ask me questions, Iris, and then you just send it out.
So you say we should come to Carson and do
If you come to Carson City, we can probably do
a live show.
That might be kind of cool to do. I think that'd be pretty cool to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have an open space. It's great, like aesthetics, and we have an area there where you're allowed to like set up and do like do like media work like this. Yeah.
I want you give us information on that.
You can just show up and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just go in there. And then, reach out to me, and then I'll talk to the folks and I'll be like, hey, look, I got these 2 individuals here, veterans in politics, Stephanie and Steve, and they want to do an interview, maybe an extended interview with somebody. Is there a place where we can host them or house them? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's the people's house in the end. And I strongly believe in folks like you, who are the media, the folks who inform the public, bring, elected officials to the table, ask us questions, we have us explain our votes. I think it's important. I think more elected officials should be open, So definitely come down there. I think it'd be pretty badass.
It'd be fun.
Yeah. Miss Phillips, you have something you want to say?
Just that we're not having a second show, guys. We were having one at 6, one at 7. But we got stood up. Well, we didn't get stood up. He just canceled on us last minute.
Mm-hmm. 6 hours before.
Senator Flores, we are very disappointed in you.
Yeah, he had a town hall that he told me about. He told me about it too. And he was very sorry. He was
since you chimed in, Assemblyman, check this out. He already committed to us 30 days ago. the same
At
day
your
at that
event.
party at that.
Oh,
that
yeah,
event.
Downtown.
This town hall wasn't even in existence back then.
Yeah,
I checked.
Yeah, I think it came up because of what happened.
So if I say, yo, meet me at the park, we're gonna go shoot
Yeah.
some hoop, right? We schedule this 30 days, and 2 days before I'm supposed to meet with you, although we schedule it 30 days.
But you know, world of
I'm gonna be like, oh shit, I'm gonna go to the strip club with
Yeah.
this guy over here.
Yeah, but the world of politics
about you.
changes. I mean,
It
day to
doesn't-
day,
it
it's
doesn't-
like
Here's the thing,
your word is
Reuben.
your word, baby.
yeah, I know. But the thing
you
is, like,
commit, you commit.
you had this executive order going, and you have all these like, and he's also very involved in the immigrant advocacy. Or this happened about a week ago.
He
now
could've
there's all
came
these
here and talked about
constituents.
Well,
immigration
here's the
policy.
thing.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't start till 8.
Mhm.
He could have called you because you guys are buds. You could have flip-flopped the time of the show. He could have come here at 6 and been there in plenty of time.
I didn't even think about that, but
But
next
he
time
waits, and he knew about this, last week when he was going to do this, but yet he waits until today, this afternoon.
He told me that he forgot
to-
and that he saw it in his schedule that he was double booked. And then
I've been tagging
that's when I
him
gave
all
you your-
over
that's when I
social
gave you
media.
your,
All over social media.
I've tagged him on all my posts. He
He
knew
forgot
about
to go on the floor. He forgot a committee meeting. He forgot to meet with us lobbyists. I mean, come on now.
It is a wild time for us elected officials right now. It is, and I'm not gonna lie. I have also had to skip out on interviews. I think it was Channel 8 or Channel 3. I had to skip out on one after I committed to them. This is just so much going on, and we have to respond to the voters really.
Look, I've been doing this since 1998. Okay, and if your word means nothing,
Yeah.
you're done.
Well, I'm gonna be here when I.
You're done.
Yeah.
Right. You got to say what you say, do what you say.
Yeah.
The
schedule's the schedules.
No, you already scheduled. So that means if I schedule you on this day, that means anything that comes up afterwards, I'm gonna have to say no to. I'm gonna have to say because I already committed to you, right? It's a respect thing.
Yeah, largely I think.
Or you
Yeah.
just call ahead of time, not the day of.
Yeah. I think,
a few days ago
He
would
saw
have been
the, from what I saw, at least, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, look, I think I'm double booked. Can you give me Steve's info? I don't even have his information. Can I? I gotta call him."
I texted.
He texted all the details.
yeah.
Same thing I text you today with all the, he got the same thing.
Yeah, because he asked me.
What's you legislators have some different type of phone system going on?
I mean, I don't know, man.
Who gets their text,
we get to a
They
time.
don't magically don't get.
They
their
don't
text.
get
to
the
a place
text.
where it's like we depend on folks to really keep
I gotta
us
send a
from
pigeon to your house
crazy.
with a little note on the feet. What?
Yeah, the attachés running our schedules for us. Yeah,
But you got extra time, so it's good.
I
So
did, it
we
was
got
cool. I
to,
enjoyed
it was
this,
good.
yeah.
So you
Yeah,
took
yeah.
some of his time. It was
So,
great.
Assemblyman De Silva, can you look to the camera and you get the final say. You can talk about whatever and give your point of contact.
Okay, so again, thank you again for having me on this show. Veterans in Politics has been a stalwart, sort of foundational, institution. I might even add. Maybe I should just start using that word. When it comes to informing veterans in this state, in this community, and I'm very thankful for the opportunity to come in front of you all and talk about what's going on in the political arena. Talk about my bills. Talk about the upcoming legislative session. Again, it's one of the great platforms for informing not just veterans, but the great people of Nevada. And again, if you want to get a hold of me, please just reach out to me. My social media is just my name, Reuben De Silva. But there's a little caveat: my name's spelled a little different. It's spelled Reuben, and my last name is De Silva, D as in David, apostrophe, capital SILVA. So if you just put that in Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, that's all you need in order to find me and to reach out to me. And also my website, www.desilvafornevada.com. That's also been up for a while now, so you can also reach out to me through the website. And please, I'm hoping that you engage. Send me DMs, send me messages. I may not be able to receive all of them and read all of them because I'm getting a lot. It's text messages and DMs, emails. I'm probably getting about roughly 200 to 300 a day right now. But I will read through them, and what you send to me, I will be getting. And also, I make it a point to even read the old snail mail. I get a lot of that at the session. I make it a point to sit down and read a few letters every day from those folks who are writing good old handwritten letters to their legislator, just so I'm connected and knowing what's on their minds. Because if you have that much there's a reason why you went out of your way to write a letter, send it to me, and the least I can do is read through those letters and try to serve as a voice for you. So again, my name is Reuben De Silva. Thank you for having me on the show. And again, February 3rd is the legislative session, and we hope you stay involved and stay engaged.
Well, Assemblyman De Silva, thank you for coming on. Stephanie
Yeah.
Phillips, thank you.
Thanks.
Folks, that's Reuben De Silva, Nevada State Assembly, District number 28. I hope the show has been informative to you, and we'll see you next week. This is Steve Sanson, Stephanie Phillips of Veterans in Politics.